everybody, it's Daleen here with Daleen's Delicious Dishes. Today we're going to be making a popular, very delicious Lebanese dish. It's called Kousa Mehshi. I guess we'll start with the name of it. Kousa Mehshi Bil Banadoora, which is stuffed squash in tomato sauce. So let's go ahead and get started. I have all the ingredients here. I'm going to start with coring out the squash. These are called Calabacita Mexican squash is what they're known for in the grocery store. So yeah, I already cut off the stem and then the bottom part here, which yeah, you don't want to cook with that. So I start by using one of these tools. You can use an apple core, which I probably, based on how wide the squash is, I probably should have had an apple core, but I don't have them. But this always works anyway. So when I start with these squash, I always measure to see how far I can go and mark it with my finger, so I don't, poke holes in it. And so yeah, I always start like this, all the way in. You see how it comes out at first. So, and then you just want to gently carve it until you start getting the insides out. And again, keep your finger marked when you measured it so you don't go past that part, so you don't poke holes in it. These easily crack. Squash easily cracks, so you want to be careful. Don't be too rough. Okay, so this first one is pretty well. I'll give you a little zoom in to see. You can see it's nicely carved all the way in, because you're going to be stuffing that with the stuffing, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. So yeah, depending on how big your family is and how many of these you want to make, how many they can eat, you just that will take quite some time. Here today I think I have 3, 6, 13 squash to carve out. Usually I get them smaller sized squash, but this is all I can find today. So that's okay. Almost done. Now, over the years that I've carved out the squash, I've punctured quite a few. Well, it's not going to hurt your meal. It'll just, the stuffing will just escape on the outside, which really, trust me, doesn't really matter. But for presentation wise, you want it to be nice and solid. No cracks or holes. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these squash and we'll get back to you. Hi everybody, so we're back. I've carved all the squash out. As you can see, I've rinsed them out from the inside and washed them on the outside. And then I just have them tipped over nicely so they can drain from the water. But we are going to make the stuffing, which is also called heshwi. So first, what I have here, already washed and rinsed 1.5 cups of rice. I have 1 pound of ground beef. I have about 3/4 of a chopped onion. Tablespoon of salt, black pepper, tablespoon of black pepper, and I have 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, ground allspice, which is actually it's this one here is the 7 spices found in Lebanese stores, Middle Eastern stores. If you can't find this, you can also use allspice instead, and that's about 2 tablespoons as well. And then last but not least, for the spices, the herbs and spices, I use that steak and chop rub. You can use the Urban Accents Chicago steak rub, but this one here is the First Street steak and chop rub. Just gives that just a little extra flavor. You don't have to use this either. So as I start mixing all the ingredients for the hashwi, the stuffing, I also like to drizzle a little bit of olive oil, just so it's not so dry. You don't have to, but that's, over the years, that's what I found has worked and gave it a nice flavor. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my hands. It's the best option. They're clean. Obviously, you want to make sure your hands are clean. Just get that proper feel for your ingredients. Getting them all mixed together. Smell all the spices, smells so good. Okay, so now that this part is ready, it's time to stuff the squash. So you just want to slowly hold it with your hand like this and then stuff it in the squash. Always shake it up so you make sure it reaches the bottom. Now you may ask, how much are you supposed to stuff the squash? And so you always want to stuff it just with a little bit of, like the top of your thumb here, if you were to put it in the squash, just because the rice is going to expand in the pot with the sauce. as the rice cooks, it'll expand. Okay. Definitely, I love this dish. It's so flavorful. It smells amazing as it's being cooked too. You'll have everybody asking you, when's dinner ready? So I'm gonna go ahead and stuff all the squash with the stuffing and we'll be back. Okay, so I have finished stuffing the squash. As you can see here, I strategically placed them all in the pot. Looking good. So the next step we're going to be doing is adding the sauce. So I have some tomato sauce, about 4 cups, maybe a little bit more than 4 cups. And just pour it in all over the squash. Some water so you get that all sauce mixed up. It looks like we need more water. Let's grab some more water. You want the sauce to cover all the squash. What I also have here, this is not necessary, some people don't do this, but I minced about 4 cloves of garlic. And I add about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Just mix that together. This is going to give it some nice flavor for the sauce. Now, depending on how garlicky you like your food, you can add more or less. It's really up to you. And I also add almost half a cup of butter. That'll also add a nice flavor to the sauce. Some people add it in the stuffing. I add it in the sauce. And then the final ingredient that I add is the dried mint. So about a tablespoon of dried mint. That'll give the sauce a nice flavor as well. And turn on the pot. You want it to get it to boil, and then turn down the heat for it to simmer slowly. You want it to cook slowly, or else it'll be just a big mess. You'll have the sauce overflowing, and you don't want to clean that up in any occasion. So yeah, cooks. You can cook it for about 45 minutes to an hour. And give it a try to see, you can test it to see if the zucchini is cooked or if the rice is cooked enough. You can just cut one up. I'll show you guys once we'll come back and we'll test one out as well. And we'll actually show you the finished product as well. Okay, so we're just gonna let that cook and we'll come back. Hi everybody, we're back after having the Kousa, the squash cook, because I removed one for you guys to see how you know if it's finished or not. So it's still hot, but have a look at how easily the fork will go through. That's how you know the squash is ready. Now let's check on the rice. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little taste just to make sure. It's really hot. I just really want to make sure everything has cooked properly. Rice looks ready. Okay, yum. Yes. Alright, so there you have it. We have finished making Kousa Mehshi Bil Banadoora. So that's the squash, stuffed squash with tomato sauce. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. That way you keep up with all my new recipes and delicious dishes. But if you also have something you'd like me to try, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I will try to feature it on my channel. Hope you enjoy.